Thanks for checking into the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 19. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaron Will. Each and every week, we're going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I basketball schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball. So before we get started, we've got a few just kind of extra games that we went to in the last week. Not necessarily related to Division I basketball, but we'll talk about that here in a second.
State of Indiana related.
Yeah, State of Indiana related, obviously. But just remember that if you're watching, if you're listening, like and subscribe, share the show with any of your friends, anyone that you know might enjoy our content. We're growing more and more every week. We want to continue to grow because, again, the more we can grow, the better content we can provide our listeners and viewers.
And Q4 is over. We're almost at the end of Q1, so your yearly review is probably coming up. So make sure you tell your boss, give a good recommendation. That'll definitely get you a raise. And, your boss will give you good news saying that you got a raise, and give them good news and telling them that they have a good basketball podcast to listen to. So I'm just helping you out, man. I'm trying to get you that 1% more on your raise. It's like, you got a 6% raise. Let's bump it to 7. Thanks for the recommendation.
Hey, I mean, that worked for me. I just had to talk to the vice president of my department, my division, and say that I had a basketball podcast. And he was like, wait a minute. In that case, and I saw him scribble down some notes, and
he wrote down moonlighting.
And yeah, so definitely be sure to share it with anyone that you think might enjoy our content. But before we're talking about our 11 Division I schools,
before we go through our schools here,
for our regularly scheduled programming,
some would say,
we're going to talk about a few other games. So last week was the kickoff of the state tournament for high school basketball in the state of Indiana, starting with sectionals. If you're outside of Indiana and you don't know what sectionals is, it's really just the first round. It's all kind of, it breaks up the state into different groups, so go to sectionals.
Yeah, every state has some sort of grouping. Yeah. So it's sectionals, regionals, semi-state, state. So 4 rounds. You get put in pods, basically.
Yeah. So I saw Southside High School play against Wayne High School. Wayne is going to that game where they're the 12th ranked team overall in the state, 11th in 4A. If that tells you anything about how the highest division, being 4A, is has the most talent. I mean, I think it kind of makes sense just because there's larger student pools that those teams are pulling from.
I just didn't think about this now, but I wonder what the one team that is not in 4A that is ranked above them is.
Didn't look into it.
I'll see if I can find it. Keep talking about this game.
But yeah, so Southside, unfortunately, that's Adam and I's alma mater. So we've gone to a couple games this season, and they had that unfortunate draw of playing Wayne. So it wasn't great. Southside did keep the game close for most of the first half, and then they went into halftime with the game within reach. And as a fan, I was excited, right? I was like, okay, they could pull off a major upset here. Then about halfway through the third quarter, Wayne they came alive. They started having fun and playing their game, and there's really no looking back. Kind of shocked that Southside stayed in it as long as they did. But Wayne they started playing fast, playing with energy. It almost looked like they were playing pickup basketball. The way they were just throwing up dunks, alley-oop left and right, fast break after fast break. It was no competition. The crowd was really not a factor for a lot of it. And until about halfway through the fourth quarter, they just started going crazy in Wayne's favor. And then with about 2 minutes left in the game, Wayne up big. Again, like I said, playing fast. They got a steal, which led to a fast break, and it just ended up in a massive slam from that fast break outlet pass. The Wayne player jumped into the student section that was right underneath the basket, which I was kind of ready for a technical, but
I can't believe that wasn't a tech. That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
How is that not unsportsmanlike conduct?
And there was no whistle at all. So no technical, obviously no whistle to any capacity.
In 49 states.
I kind of thought the roof was gonna fall in just because of how loud it got. My only speculation is the game was out of hand no matter what, that the technical foul or the free throws would have not made an impact.
Still, man,
whatsoever.
You can't let him be disrespectful. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it was bad.
I'd say that even if they weren't doing that on my alma mater, you know?
Yeah, and I got most of that kind of interchange on video, and we shared it to our Instagram account. I unfortunately was not expecting the player to jump into the stands, so I stopped recording.
You didn't have dude jumps into the stands to celebrate in the play and doesn't get a technical on your bingo card? Come on, man.
No, but I stopped the recording, was very upset about it, but then Wayne was they continued to be dominant through the rest of the sectional. They won the championship by 10. Would not be surprised. Last year they were just as good. They lost in the first round of the semi-state grouping. So the semi-state semifinals, they lost by 22 to Kokomo, who ended up being the state runner-up.
You got a top 5, top 10 guy in the country going to Kansas. Yeah. Happens.
Yeah. So hopefully they can, come back with a chip on their shoulder. It'd be cool to see a team from Fort Wayne in the state finals. But again, they're likely to either play Fishers, who is the number 1 team in the state for 4A, or Kokomo, because they're in regionals together. So
it's a tough road.
Tough road for sure. Yeah, it was a little cool, postseason basketball, high school basketball that I went to.
Was Tuesday, Wednesday?
That was Tuesday. Went to the game Tuesday. The sectional championship was Friday, which I could not go to, unfortunately, because I was at a different game on Friday.
We were at the Trine Font Bond D3. The D3 NCAA tournament started. Selection Monday happened this past Monday, and I mean they do their games on Friday, Saturday, so it's back-to-back days. So that's tough. But Trine has an amazing arena. The MTI Center is an incredible place to watch a game. It's like 3,000 seats. And probably one of the nicest arenas in D3. But Trine was playing Font Bond, so they were hosting. Wabash was also in, I guess, in their region, I guess.
Yeah, I think they played in the
same.
They
had the same host. Yeah. So they would have, if Wabash would have won, Trine would have won. They would have played each other in the second round. Wabash lost to Co. Trine won against Font Bond in the first round, 91-81. So they went on to play Co the next night. That was Saturday night, and they beat them 76-70, and they were up 17 at halftime against Co. So they had a tough first round against Font Bond, but their press kind of gave them a little bit of trouble. Like we were there, and it kind of took them out of it, but they handled it just fine.
Yep.
But this is great for them. I am a Trine alum, so good news for me. Got to go see them win a game, and they won 2. So they actually get to host the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. I mean, if they win their Sweet 16 game, but there's another site right there at Trine, so they won't have to leave Northern Indiana if they make it all the way to the Final Four.
Because the Final Four is in Fort Wayne, which is just about an hour.
Yep, like 45 minutes away.
Yep.
But personally, this is a big milestone for us.
Yeah. We attended, but we were media. We got to go. If you're watching the pod on YouTube, there is a new addition to our wall. It is one of our media passes. So our first official credential.
First ever
division. Or I guess college. First
credential ever.
Yeah. First credential ever. So that was pretty cool.
An NCAA tournament game, got to be there, credentialed, sit, on media row, and have our laptops out, getting the stat sheets when they hand them out to you. Have that lanyard on.
Hang out with the coach and some players, and then the post game press conference, and got to pick their brains a little bit on some questions. It was fun. It was definitely it was a bucket list experience for the show, but also I mean individually, just for Adam and I in general. We are hoping next season, once we get back up and running with the beginning of the Division I season, we can get to some more games and really give you some more behind the scenes information from some of those experiences.
Yeah, we want to pick out handful of games that we can make together, where we can go down and get some press passes and watch the game, go to the post game.
another example of how your support helps us, because the more the show can grow, the more access we'll have to those things.
The more legitimate we look.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. I asked 2 questions to Coach Miller in the post game, so that was kind of like a bucket list thing for me. And I kind of want to keep going back, and it's just a cool experience. So that was just kind of our week. But those are our non-Division I things. So go Thunder, and hope you make it to the Final Four. We have applied for credentials to the Final Four because the Final Four, like we said, is in Fort Wayne at the Memorial Coliseum, where Purdue Fort Wayne plays a good chunk of their games.
Yeah.
And if we get in and we can go, we will let you know, and we will report back on that. But if we don't, we might go anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's right there.
Why not? Well, let's talk about our Week 17 power rankings. So starting, like we talked about, this is the last week of the regular season for about half of our teams. They start conference tournaments this week, but I guess it's our last full regular season power rankings. Starting at 11, we've got IUPUI.
Go Jags.
10 is Southern Indiana.
Screaming Eagles.
9 is Valpo.
The Beacons.
8,
stay in there.
Ball State.
Charlie, the Cardinal.
Yep.
Yeah.
7 is Purdue Fort Wayne.
Good old Donnie.
Yes, the Dons. 6, Evansville.
The Aces. I don't know if he has a name. I'll report back someday. Let me know.
It's your job. You're supposed to. You're the mascot guy.
I'm sorry.
Going into our top 5, we've got number 5, Notre Dame.
On a heater right now.
Yes, they're playing good ball. 4, team that's also playing good ball now, Indiana.
Starting to peak. Right time.
March is when it matters.
Yep.
March is when it matters, and they're playing hot. 3, a little bit of a shift. We've got the Bulldogs, Butler.
Hopefully coming out of it. Hopefully on the upswing.
Yep. Number 2, Indiana State, moving up from 3 last week.
That's MVC champions, Indiana State to you.
I apologize. I mean no disrespect. Number 1, Purdue.
That's Big Ten champions back to back. Purdue to you. We got 2 champions in the state, man. That's huge.
Yeah. Two conference champions.
One we saw coming. One we didn't see coming at the beginning of the year, just because I don't think we knew what to expect
from Purdue, right?
Yeah, we figued Purdue was going to win. I mean,
I was talking about.
We knew
we saw Indiana State coming.
Yeah. Purdue returned like their whole roster. That was important, basically, and
yep.
We weren't super plugged into the Indiana State world down in Terre Haute last year, so I'm just proud of both these teams. It's accomplishments that you don't see a lot, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So
yeah, let's talk about Ball State. They did move up in KenPom. They are 267 currently. Last week they were 274. They went 1-1 this week, which sucks that they dropped a game at a very crucial time in their season. They're 14-15 overall, 6-10 in the MAC. They won at Central Michigan, so start of the week, exactly where we said that they needed to be, right? We said last week that they need to finish 4-0 for best case scenario. They then lost to Western Michigan in a overtime heartbreak, made national news.
Yeah,
national sports
they were everywhere,
news, which, not for the way that we like necessarily.
Like I was texting you as soon as it happened. I was like, "This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like this is so unfortunate."
Yeah. So they lost in overtime, 78-76 on a.
It was a full court heave, and like it looked like it was gonna get intercepted. Like Mason Jones was right there. Because they underthrew it, I assume, to who they were throwing it to.
It was either an overthrow from the
it was not a good throw.
Yeah, from either kind of a...
Because Mason Jones line. He was guarding like the bucket.
Yeah, and around the free throw line.
And then he saw the pass going short or long, depending on who they were throwing it to, because it ended up like 5 feet in front of the free throw line. So he moved forward, tried to grab it, misses it. It goes right by him and literally just bounces right into the hands, and they just tap it in for the Western Michigan. It literally like just bounces up almost at like chest level, and he just kind of taps it in, and ball game.
At the buzzer, yeah. It was definitely heartbreaking. So it got a lot of media attention because it was a very crazy way to end a game.
Yeah, and then the next game, or both of those games were just not enough, unfortunately. Yep. I mean, you're looking at what are they going to do to make the MAC tournament? They're sitting right now behind. So Bowling Green, Kent State, and Western Michigan are in a 3-way tie at 8-8. Ball State is 6-10. So if they win out and one of these teams loses out, they would then be tied for 8th. And I think they're 1-1 against all of these teams, except for they haven't played Kent State and Bowling Green yet. So if they beat Kent State and Bowling Green, they'd be 1-1 against all of these teams. So I don't know how the tiebreaker works.
Yeah, so if it's, I looked it up. If it's a tie between two teams, it's head-to-head competition, which obviously that would be split. So go down to winning percentage versus ranked conference teams. So I don't really understand how that works. It says top to bottom versus common opponents, regardless of the number of times played. So essentially,
so it would, because they don't play a full round robin, right?
Yeah,
and it would say like whoever has the better conference record, excluding playing each other.
Yeah, so it's
I guess it's all the teams that they played that they share in common. So
yeah,
I'm not doing the math on that one.
No, but it's winning. So it's pure winning percentage. So like if Ball State only played a team once, and whoever they were tied with, assuming that there was a tie, played the team twice, that would carry more weight because Ball State is still has a 1,000 win percentage against those teams. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. And then there's also some conditions if there's a 3 or more way tie, which we could be looking at. But
all you need to know is that Ball State has to absolutely win both games, and one of these 3 teams has to lose both games.
Yeah,
at the very bottom, and then they'll figure it out from there. But like that's the only way you make it. If you lose one, it's over.
Yeah. So let's
talk about Butler.
Let's talk about Butler. They moved down in KenPom. They're 67 from 58. They went 1-1 this week again. They were on. Ball State was on bubble watch for the MAC tournament. Butler was on bubble watch for
the NCAA
tournament. So they are still 17-3. 17-13 overall. They're 8-11 in the Big East. They lost to St. John's in absolute dominant fashion, 82-59, and then they won at DePaul, returning the favor in dominant fashion, 82-63.
Yeah, the DePaul game was a destroy them and move on game, but the St. John's game was basically like whoever wins this game might be in the tournament, but whoever loses this game is out of the tournament. And they ended up losing this game, and I don't know if there's any scenario that they get in now. Maybe you get lucky and there's not that many bid stealers and the bubble kind of pops for other people and you like go to the Big East tournament finals.
Yep.
But I think the way that the bracket goes through, they're going to have to play UConn in like
the
second round or something.
If they need to make a deep Big East tournament run. As of now, they'll be the 9 seed. Likely has them playing Providence, which is less than ideal just because they are not great against Providence historically. They don't play them a whole lot. They did split with them this season.
And should have swept.
Yeah. So, because, they lost in overtime in December. So, definitely a tough path for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's not an impossible one, but
the door's not shut, but the needle is inching ever so closer to that bubble.
If you have to go through UConn, like good luck. But I mean, you can make the NIT and you can make a good run in the NIT. So season's not over. Season shouldn't be over when you lose. I think that this team will be better next year. And I think their record was, they won a lot of big games that I don't think a lot of people thought that they would win this year. So, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll see something really nice in them turn it around and make it into the tournament. But If not, I think an NIT run is going to be pretty plausible.
Yep. And then Evansville, they also moved down in KenPom, so they're 208 currently. They were 191 last week. They went 0-2 this week. They're 15-16 overall with a 6-14 Missouri Valley Conference record. Just two tough opponents this week. They lost to Indiana State 85-66, and they lost at Belmont 83-66. The Indiana State game was their senior night, which is really one of the worst possible teams you could play on your senior night for the Valley.
Yeah, playing the team that is literally just has to beat you to win the conference.
Yeah,
on your senior night is a tough draw.
Yeah. So, I would have liked their chances against almost anyone else in the Valley. Unfortunately, though, I mean, pretty much the same score against Belmont, so maybe not anyone else in the Valley. But
yeah, the season's been a little bit up and down. I mean, you saw how strong it started. Hummerkaus goes out, they really struggle. He comes back, then they just run into powerhouse Indiana State and things like that. And then Hummerkaus is out for this game against Belmont. But I mean, they're the 10 seed in Arch Madness.
Yep, they're locked in at the 10 seed. And that was really they were locked in pretty much at the end of the Indiana State game. There was no ability for them to make any movement with that loss. So they they could just make a run in the Valley, but it's gonna be a tough task.
Yeah, I mean, last year you finished 5-27, and you're 15-16 this year. Yeah. You'd have to win 2 in the tournament in Arch Madness in order to be above 500 or to be at 500 for the season. But I mean, you won 10 games more than last year, so
yeah, and I mean they're already
very successful.
They were projected to finish 11th in the Valley with a
10th.
4-16 conference record, and they've already exceeded that. So it's still a win in terms of season.
Yeah, we'll
projections
recap. We'll recap all this and what we thought at the beginning of the season. We'll recap that in a later episode. But let's move on to Indiana. So, really good week for the Hoosiers. They moved up from 106. They're now 95th in KenPom.
Back to the top 100 again.
Yeah, thank the Lord. They went 2-0 this week, so they're 16-13, and they're 8-10 in conference. So that 500 record in conference is still in play. That puts you in a better position for making the tournament. Not that I think Indiana has a good chance, but I think that there's a non-zero chance.
Yeah.
They won over Wisconsin, who at one point was first in the Big Ten and has kind of taken a skid, 74-70, and then they beat Maryland at Maryland, completed the sweep, 83-78. So the season's not over for the Hoosiers. At the very least, you're going to the NIT, in my opinion. And I mean, if you go to the Big Ten tournament championship game, I don't know exactly how the bracket would break if you went out and go there, but like if you go to the Big Ten tournament championship game, that's 2 wins plus, I guess, 3 wins. They would have to play 4 games total.
Yeah.
So that's 5 more wins plus these last 2, so 7 in a row. So 5 more wins would put them at 21-13. Like that could do it.
Yeah, that's it. The challenge though is you're looking at a weaker Big Ten than kind of expected than people thought. But I mean, the Big Ten, everyone beats each other up anyway.
But I mean, you're still looking at two of the, I guess
you're looking at several quad 1 wins.
Yeah, and nothing worse than a quad 2 because they're all neutral. So
yeah,
I mean, it's possible. I think it's unlikely, but I mean, maybe you make it to the finals and you catch Purdue resting on their laurels a little bit. I think they'll still be hungry, but I don't know.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens with them. But in the first game, Khalil Ware had 27 points. He was 11 of 12. The only shot he missed was like I don't even know, like a contested mid-range that he took or something, like just a heat check kind of thing. Like, why wouldn't I take it? I haven't missed yet. I'm like 6 of 6.
Yeah.
But Malik Renew in this game had 5 of the team's 8 fouls, which is insane.
Yeah.
So he's got to figure out the foul trouble he did. I think in the next game he was fine with fouls.
He had 4, I believe.
Yeah, didn't foul out, but he's got to. If they have any hope of making the tournament, he has to figure that out.
Yeah. But I mean, it's again, Indiana played both these games with Xavier Johnson back. And to me, that's proof in the pudding that this team is a better team when he is on the floor. And
yeah, this season could be very different if he was there all year.
Yeah, so the team. I mean, we talked about it a little bit ago when we talked about power rankings. The team's winning when it matters. It's unfortunate that they're in the hole that they are in, but that's just the thing is they're getting hot when it matters, and they could have some momentum going into the Big Ten tournament.
We said this team from literally our first episode. We said this team was built for March. They just had to get to March.
Yep.
And they are like they are trying to barely make it into March as close as they can. So if they can make it into March, I think if they can make it into the tournament, they'll be dangerous, but they just got to get there. Yep. Another team that's in the same scenario as in they'll be very dangerous if they make it into March. They just have to get there is Indiana State, our next team. They moved up 1 spot in KenPom from 46 to 45. They won. We talked about at Evansville, 85-67, and they won at home in their senior day against Murray State, 89-77, and that brings them to 26-5 overall and 17-3 in the Valley. So they are outright Missouri Valley champions for the first time since 2000. So congrats to the Sycamores. I've got my Indiana State hat on today. It just feels right.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, in that Evansville game, we talk a lot about Robbie Avila, but in this game we saw a man by the name of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
He popped off for 35 points. It was a career high night for him. And they just look back to form. Like they look like the Indiana State
before they took their 2 losses and they put my questions of are they going to be I had questions about fatigue for this team.
Yep.
And I was worried about that when they took their 2 losses. They don't look like that anymore.
No.
I don't know, man.
And they're getting some rest. They're not playing till the end of next week or end of this week, rather, when this episode comes out. So they're looking good. They're looking poised for March.
Yeah. So I have a free throw for you on this game against Evansville. So in the game that Indiana State played Evansville, across both teams, how many trillions appeared?
Across both teams?
Across both teams. How many trillions?
7.
You're close.
8.
Because there were almost that many.
Oh.
But some people grabbed a stat. Not positive stats necessarily, but there were 3. There were 2 trillions and 1 4 trillion. We were 1 turnover away from another 2 trillion and 1 foul away from a 5 trillion. So
explain to listeners what a trillion is, Adam.
So a trillion, not created by Mark Titus, but made popular by Mark Titus from Ohio State, now at Barstool, obviously. A trillion is when you look at the stat sheet, it says like minutes played is first, and then has all your other stats listed. So a trillion is when you get at least a 1 in the minutes played and then a 0 in every other stat. So you can't shoot, you can't get an assist, you can't grab a rebound, you can't foul anybody. Any of those things give you a number in that stat line, so it's no longer a trillion because you have to have zeros across the board. So
a 5 trillion is
5 minutes
they
played
5 minutes, but have
0 stats.
0 stats otherwise.
So people call it getting cardio. So I'm always on trillion watch. Sometimes you see like the elusive 10 trillion, and those are just incredible.
Yeah.
IUPUI?
Yeah. Yep. So to no surprise, they stayed the same in KenPom, 361. Not the worst team in Division I basketball. They went 0-2 this week, 6-25 overall. They're 2-18 in the Horizon League. They lost to Milwaukee, 75-70. They lost at Cleveland State, 75-66. So this does mean that they finished the Horizon League in 10th. This is exactly where they were projected preseason, so they did not exceed expectations, but they also did not
meet.
I mean, they met.
Go lower.
Yeah.
Lower. Yeah. I don't know.
But I mean, I don't know how you could go much lower than last. But, well, I guess no, there's 11 teams, right? Detroit Mercy
They were ahead of Detroit Mercy, yes, by one game in the conference.
Yeah. So,
which they would have been tied, but they had a huge win over Purdue Fort Wayne earlier.
Yep.
But
it's hard. It's tough. It's tough when you've got a team that just loses consistently. You know, we try to stay positive. They almost won against Milwaukee, right? Lost by 5.
Yeah, they were up 15 at one point, and just they held the lead for 21 minutes, and then Milwaukee scored the final 6 points. When IUPUI was up by 1.
Yeah, I don't know how many seniors this team has, but they've been together for quite a few years, and I just think that Matt Crenshaw needs a fresh slate.
Yeah, I just feel like be hard to recruit, but we'll get into that later.
This is actually and this is their last season as IUPUI, so quite literally a fresh slate next year.
Yeah, our guy, Jaguar guy on Twitter, who's a IUPUI super fan that, you know, is plugged in, his Twitter name is actually like IUI Jags or something. IUI
it's
Men's
IUI MBB, yeah.
Which is like, I hope he gets the bag for the Twitter handle.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But in the first round of the Horizon tournament, they play Cleveland State again. That's Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the 7-10 game. So they see that team that they just played immediately. Notre Dame had a really good week. They moved up in KenPom 14 spots to 122, up from 136. And they're 12-17 overall and 7-11 in the ACC, which is really good based on kind of what we thought was going to happen. I think almost everyone was picking Notre Dame dead last in the ACC, which I think is fair if their coach isn't Micah Shrewsbury, but it is. So they had a win over Wake Forest and pretty much almost killed Wake Forest's NCAA tournament hopes, and then Wake Forest went around and lost to Virginia Tech immediately after that, so that dream is dead for them. And then they beat Clemson, and I think firmly put Clemson out of the tournament as well. So you didn't, you will not make the tournament, Notre Dame, unless you win the ACC tournament, but you pushed 2 other people out, so you helped teams like Indiana State, who, if they don't win the MVC tournament, need an at-large bid. So thank you.
Yeah, and I mean they're also currently sitting above a 20 in the ACC standings. They're currently sitting above a 2023 Final Four team in Miami. So
it was just crazy.
That's just a notch in the accomplishments column.
Yeah, and shout out to Mark Spurton, who had a career high 31 points. And in my opinion, and if I had a vote, he would be ACC Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately, we don't have votes, but putting that out there, we should have 2 conference freshmen, probably 3 conference freshmen of the year, and I think Mackenzie Mbako could be in there.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Cooper Schwieger.
Yep, I think Schwieger could be there, and I think Marcus Burton. So I think we should have 3 from the state in here, but we're not voters
till we get
those votes.
Till we get those votes. Again, This is where your support helps us out.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, good things for the Irish. Unfortunately, it's coming a little bit too late, but they've won 5 of their last 6 games, with their 1 loss coming to Syracuse by 1 possession. So you could be 6 in a row right now, but 5 of 6 is very nice.
Yeah. But let's talk about Purdue Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
They took a little bit of a downturn about midway through the conference season. They did, they are getting hot now, which is good. They moved up 2 spots in KenPom. They're at 158. They went 2-0 this week. They're 20-11 overall. So they hit the 20-win mark, and then they're 11-9 in the Horizon League. They won at Wright State 79-77 in overtime. Then they won over Robert Morris on senior night 83-65.
Yeah, Anthony Roberts was, I think, the only senior on the team, at least the only one going through senior day. So he'll be missed next year, but, congrats to him going through senior day. Love that for him. But again, I think this is a team very similar in one regard to Indiana, where they're heating up at the right time.
Yep.
They had some struggles in the middle of the season, especially in conference play, but they're heating up now. And Anthony Roberts led them in scoring in the Robert Morris game at 18, so that has got to feel really nice.
Yep, on senior day.
Yeah.
Leading the team.
Mm-hmm. And they will see Robert Morris again in the 8-9 game of the Horizon League tournament.
7-10. They believe Purdue Fort Wayne finished in 7th.
Oh, they moved up
Believe
after they beat them?
I might have. Can't remember when I wrote that note down. But either way, I mean, they will play.
They're hosting.
Yes, they are the higher seed, and
they're hosting Robert. They're hosting Robert Morris on Tuesday at 7 p.m. So, that'll be nice, and another good week that we had. Was our next team who just had one game, and that's Purdue. So, Indiana State won the Missouri Valley. Purdue won the Big Ten for the second year in a row, and it's their 26th Big Ten championship. And for regular season, and their 4th Big Ten title in the last 8 years. Dominant.
Well, and Rayfield Davis is a former Purdue player. We are familiar with him. He's from our high school alma mater. He, like I said, played at Purdue. I don't know if it was his freshman year or his sophomore year. They finished dead last in the Big Ten. And so 10 years... And in the last 10 years, they went from dead last in the Big Ten to consistently first place in the Big Ten. So that's just a massive turnaround from a guy like Matt Painter, who's been there. Well,
yeah, I mean, that was like that was the time when allegedly Matt Painter was going to take a job somewhere else because he was very, very hot seat. You know, he was on the hot seat, and glad that didn't happen because it has worked out.
Yeah.
It has definitely worked out.
Yep.
So if there's one thing to learn, it's maybe don't push someone out after a disappointing season, especially before it's over. But Braden Smith had 23-9. Zach Edey had 32-11. I mean, if they have one more win in this season, which I project that they will, they play Illinois and Wisconsin at home. They'll have the most regular season wins in school history. So that is incredible. I mean, you're talking about if they can make a run in the tournament, Edey will probably be, it'll be debatable on like, is Edey or Glenn Robinson the most important, best Boiler ever? So if they make a run, if they win the Big Ten tournament, I think it's probably Edey just because of
the success that he's had.
I mean, 2-time National Player of the Year.
Yep.
I mean, we're preemptively saying that, but like,
yeah,
you'd have to hold the voters hostage and make them vote for someone else for it not to be him. So
yeah, exactly.
Congrats to them.
Also, congrats to Southern Indiana. They made the OVC tournament. They finished 8th. So shout out to the haters who thought that they might not make the tournament.
I need to find that dude on Twitter, dude. Dude was chirping at me saying they're not even going to make the OVC tournament. So shut up. They made it, okay?
Yep.
I was right. They lost their last 2 games, but they still made it, okay?
Yep. So they moved down in KenPom, however, due to those 2 losses.
They were supposed to win both of these games.
327. They were 322. They went 0-2, 8-23 overall record, 5-13 in the Ohio Valley. Lost to Lindenwood, 67-63, and they lost to SEMO, 70-66.
There is no Chitwood curse, but I did feel a little bit bad because Jack Milkey went 0 for 9 and missed 8 threes in the SEMO game. But you made the OVC tournament. I don't know if that's what our goalpost was for them for have a successful season, but I think making that, they're not going into this tournament hot, but maybe they can get hot, and I think that they're a team that's capable of beating any of these teams.
They play every team close for the most part in the Ohio Valley Conference. Mm-hmm. So there is some lessons that can be learned from all of their close games. So they could use that as a jumping off point and maybe steal a game or 2 in the conference tournament.
Our last team, Valparaiso, they went down from 293 down to 296 in Ken Palm. They're 1-1 this week, so they're 7-24 overall and 3-17 in the Missouri Valley Conference. So they lost at Northern Iowa, 68-54, and then they won at home, an upset win over Illinois State, 75-72. So in the first game, they played without Cooper Schwieger, which is tough. That's bad enough, to play without him. But then Darius Diavero had 0 points. So they were down double digits most of the game. In the Illinois State game, Isaiah Stafford had 20 and Cooper Schwieger had a career high of 28. This is I feel like his fourth or fifth time that he's gotten he's broken his career high like 4 or 5 times this year. It is.
When he's a freshman, it makes it easy to
but I mean,
more.
It's like, he's getting like 24, 26.
Yep.
27. So he's done a really good job. And then, the highlight of the game is Jerome Palm got engaged.
That's senior Jerome Palm to you.
So he's out there getting engaged, moving on from playing Valpo basketball and going to go start a family.
Yep. So Valpo did have 3 seniors go through senior day against Illinois State: Jerome Palm, Connor Barrett, and Anthony Scironi. Scironi didn't play against Illinois State. Connor Barrett did. He had, I think, 7 points maybe. Jerome Palm, like you said, got engaged and then went for 8 points, 4 assists, 4 boards. So he balled out.
Yeah,
which is impressive.
Your last time at home.
And you're doing it in front of your ex-girlfriend, current fiance.
Ex-girlfriend. I mean, technically.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
So they do, I believe, play Northern Iowa in the first round of Arch Madness. Like we said, that they lost by 14 earlier this week, but they're playing without Schwieger, who is playing
NBC Freshman of the Year.
Yeah.
I mean, should be.
So he
again, if we had a vote.
Yep. But let's talk about Chitwood. There were quite a few.
This was the hardest week. I feel
stood out. Yeah, there were some players who stood out, but they didn't do enough in the sense of like their teams weren't in the spot to like for their impact to.
Yeah, like they scored a lot of points, or they helped their team win, but then they took a loss, or they won against a team and that didn't really help their standings in any way. So a lot of candidates, but there's only one candidate that I think stood out to me. So Jimmy Chitwood this week, of course, is the Assembly Hall fire alarms. You went off, you stopped Wisconsin's run, and you helped Indiana win. Kidding, obviously, but our real Jimmy Chitwood this week is Mackenzie Mbako. He had 24 points in the win at Maryland. So a road game, you shoot 50% from 3, come a long way this season, and you've seemingly worked really, really hard to get that way. Huge 4-point play in the second half to propel them to a win. And most importantly, what did he do?
He balled out in front of 14 NBA scouts.
That's huge.
In the middle of the game, at some point, I missed it. I just saw it on Twitter. He puked. He was on the sideline. Something was off.
Something hard.
Something must not have been right in his stomach. He had too big of a pregame meal or something.
He just, I don't know, man. I think it's just, run till you puke kind of deal.
Yeah, he went in and he puked, and then he came back into the game. And continued his.
That is Chitwood career, career night. So congrats to him. That's just huge. I mean, you don't see that a lot, that kind of effort from a freshman. So congrats to Mackenzie Mbako. Keep that team rolling and keep winning.
Yep. So let's talk about games to be aware of this week. So number of teams playing in the first round of their respective conference tournaments. Couple ones that stand out, right? IUPUI and Purdue Fort Wayne both play on the 5th, both at 7 p.m.
But not against each other.
Not against each other, no. IUPUI plays Cleveland State. They are, unfortunately, 18-point dogs. They did just play Cleveland State, so they a scout team for them, at least, has some experience. They can take what they didn't execute well.
Yeah.
And hopefully pull off a major upset win there. And then, like we talked about, PFW is hosting Robert Morris, and they're currently 12-point favorites. So,
yeah,
hoping to see both these teams move on to round 2.
Yeah, and this is Horizon League, so IUPI will be playing at Cleveland State, and Purdue Fort Wayne will be playing at home against Robert Morris.
Yep. Because
the higher seed gets to host. Southern Indiana has to play. I think the whole thing is in the Ford Center, right?
Yes. Yep.
So they're playing Tennessee State in the Ford Center, so they have the advantage of staying at home in their hometown of Evansville, playing in the Ford Center against Tennessee State. They're 3-point dogs. I think they can win this game. I think they should win this game. Tennessee State also lost out, right? No, that's Tennessee Tech. Okay, Tennessee Tech. So you're 3-point dogs, but you're playing in your home city, so you should be able to win this one. Who else do we have? Evansville's playing on the 7th against Illinois State, and Valpo's playing that same day against Northern Iowa. So
Evansville plays at 6 p.m. against Illinois State in St. Louis on the 7th, and then Valpo plays at 2:30 against Northern Iowa the 7th as well.
Yeah. So Wednesday, the OVC starts. Tuesday, Horizon League starts. And Thursday, the MVC starts.
Yep. So another game that sticks out to me, too, is Purdue playing at Illinois. They are 1-point favorites. Naturally, I mean, Purdue's going to be the favorite in every game that they play. However, the thing that stands out in this game is if for some reason Purdue loses out and Illinois wins out, I believe they could share. They could share
the conference title.
Yeah, the regular season conference title. Purdue would retain the number 1 seed in the conference tournament, but if for some reason Illinois wins, then I guess not for some reason, like it's very realistic that Illinois could win. But
yeah, it's plausible.
If Illinois wins, then we're looking at a potential share of the regular season title.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Purdue and Illinois played last time at Purdue without Terrence Shannon.
Correct.
It was like a week after he got.
It might have been that same week.
Yeah. So it's a different team.
Very different team.
You're playing at Mackey though, so good luck.
No, they're playing at.
Oh, sorry. You're playing. Oh, yes. You're playing in Champaign. You're playing at the State Farm Center. So.
Yep. So. Who knows what
you
got?
You got like if you're Matt Painter, the thing you need to tell this team is to stay effing hungry. Like,
yep.
You need to win
just because you did some confetti angels for celebrating your share of the title. You need to
tell them, win the next. I guess that would be what 11 games.
Yeah,
6 in the tournament, 3 in the Big Ten tournament, and 2 of the regular season. Like you need to win all 11 of these games.
Yeah.
So they need to stay hungry. Ball State plays Kent State, and they play Bowling Green. Both of those teams are above them at 8-8, and they're 6-10 in the conference. So you need to beat both of those teams. You have to win out. There's no scenario. If you lose one game, you're out of the MAC tournament for sure. So, hope you get in there. But I guess you could say Indiana playing Minnesota and playing Michigan State. Both of those are must wins because you have to win out too and win some games in the Big Ten tournament to have any hopes of doing anything.
Yep. And at this point, Indiana really they want to not have to play 5 games in the Big Ten tournament. They want to only have to play.
Yeah, you want to play on what day does it start? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It starts Wednesday.
Yeah, it starts Wednesday. Yeah, so you don't want to have to play on the Wednesday. You don't want to have to play on the first day.
You want a bye.
Absolutely.
You need a bye. Yeah. So let's take a look at the other 49 states because there still are 49 other states.
For now.
Monday last week, Kansas State beat West Virginia 94-90 in overtime. Again, another overtime win for Kansas State, but more specifically, Jerome Tang never lost a game in his career in overtime. He's 12-0. Huge accomplishment. I mean, I don't know how many people can say that. Like he's built different in extra time.
A scheduled loss if you go to overtime with Kansas State. I mean, win it, do whatever you can in regulation to win or lose.
Yeah. But more specifically, or more importantly, excuse me, Mississippi Valley State got their first win of the season. They were the last team to win a game. We saw Detroit Mercy do it a couple weeks ago. There was one other team that hadn't won a game. That was Mississippi Valley State. We did have a court storm 2 days after. Court storming became the most heated topic in all of college basketball. This game also means that Mississippi Valley State is better than UConn and Houston. So that's
in what way?
I'll tell you in what way. So when it comes to, I lost it. My tab went away. Please hold. So when it comes to UConn, right? Mississippi Valley State beat Prairie View A&M, who beat Eastern Kentucky, who beat Troy, who beat App State, who beat JMU, who beat Michigan State, who beat Butler, who beat Creighton, who beat UConn. So Mississippi Valley State is better than UConn. And then, again, to be better than Houston, Mississippi Valley State beat Prairie View A&M, who beat Eastern Kentucky, who beat Chicago State, who beat Northwestern, who beat, mind you, the number one overall seed Purdue, who beat Marquette, who beat Kansas, and then who beat Houston. So
my team is better than your team.com.
This is all courtesy of JBR Bracketology. Did the work for us.
They went to the website instead of it.
I don't
presumably.
care. I don't care how they came up with it, but
that transitive property, incredible on this show. We love it. Big fans. But that is news in this day and age. It's like, did you know this team has one win? That'd be a YouTube thumbnail, YouTube short. Did you know this one win team is better than Houston and UConn? Yeah. I'm here for it though. Tuesday.
Me too. That's why I brought it up.
Thank you. Thanks for contributing.
Yep.
Thanks for doing the work.
You're welcome.
And by doing, see, I'm giving the credit to you, Jaron.
Hey,
I had
to work to get that. I had to work to get that information.
I know you had to scroll real time, guys. He had to scroll real time. That's big. Like he got it. So Tuesday, really only one thing of note, and that's that BYU beat Kansas in Fog Allen 76-68. Kevin McCullough did not play. He might actually be out the rest of the season. Kansas has been a little bit disappointing this year. That is a win that, Indiana really, really, really wishes they had right now, especially because they have not done super, super well. Winning in Fog Allen is hard. And BYU said, "Oh, is winning in the Big 12 hard? Is it hard to win at Allen Fieldhouse? Oh, all right, we'll try our best." And it was just a bunch of married dudes going in there, immune to the magic. So good for them. That was Tuesday.
Yep. And then Wednesday, big thing coming out of Wednesday. Tennessee beat Auburn 92-84. So high scoring game as to be expected. Big win for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only game of note on Wednesday.
Thursday, we head out to the West Coast to bring you some West Coast news, specifically the West Coast Conference, because Gonzaga did not win the WCC. That is St. Mary's and St. Mary's alone. They beat Pepperdine to clinch the outright title of the WCC. And Gonzaga beat San Francisco, which helped their resume because they were on the bubble, so they really needed that win. So that is also a transitive win over the Fort Wayne Dons.
Yes, so Gonzaga is better than Purdue Fort Wayne.
Based on the rule that we just established.
Yep.
With Kansas and Houston being worse than Mississippi Valley.
Yeah. Yep. And then Friday night, we had Loyola Chicago beating number 21 Dayton. So really, at the time of this, if Richmond wins one more game, then Dayton won't share the title.
It's crazy that you can be third, I think, tied for second or third in the A10 and be ranked.
Yeah.
and
and
like
not win not win the conference and be ranked above every other team in the conference.
yeah.
Yeah, it's wild to think about, but I mean Dayton's they tougher schedule will do that. And then also a little bit of news shifting over to women's basketball on Friday night. Davidson, their women's basketball team ended. They announced that they canceled the remainder of their season. Yeah, yep. So,
Why?
I'll tell you why. It, the statement came out that it had to do with a significant number of injuries. So Davidson, they started the year with a program best 12-1 record. They won at Duke, which is highly notable for Davidson. They did finish their season 18-8, but the statement at the end of the day from the director of athletics was that the physical, mental, and emotional toll of this unfortunate and injury-riddled season has brought them to this point. They're incredibly saddened that they cannot finish out the season strong, but feel that it's the best decision for the scholar athletes. So definitely an unfortunate way to end the season, but it was just, when you've got injury after injury, it can weigh heavily on a program. And I think I'm all for programs making decisions like this, and when it puts the students first.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
and it's for the best of the students.
Opting out of the conference tournament.
Yep. So
that's fair.
Definitely not a way you want to end the season, but if it's for the best for the players, then that's just how the ball rolls.
Yeah. That's how the cookie crumbles. On Saturday, number 4 Tennessee beat 14 Alabama, 81-74. So Tennessee is now in first place in the SEC. Creighton beat Marquette, and that was Marquette without Oso Ighodaro and Tyler Kolek. But you win, you handle business. Baylor beats Kansas, which is actually huge because you give Bill Self his first season ever with 7 conference losses. Dude has never finished with 7 conference losses. And I mean, there's still a week left in the conference tournament or in the conference season. So like it could get worse potentially, but like this is historic for Bill Self, one of the 3, 2, 1 best coaches in the country.
Yep.
South Florida beat Charlotte to clinch the American title. So South Florida is ranked right now. Shout out to our friend Luke, South Florida one-time attendee. I mean, the American has FAU, which was ranked for most of the season, and Memphis, who is usually good and is Dookie Cheeks right now. So that one's not really notable, but like it's a name people know. It's a historic basketball program. So, you finished above both of them, and it's your coach's, I think his first, maybe his second year.
Nope.
First year. Yeah.
Yep.
After taking Kennesaw State.
I think it's his second year as a head coach.
No, I think he did like 3 or 4 years at Kennesaw State. Yeah. And brought them, from a 1-win team to making the tournament.
That's true.
Gonzaga beat St. Mary's at St. Mary's by 23, so they're safely in the tournament now. Virginia Tech beat Wake Forest, so Wake Forest is out. And then we got our very own DeMar Hamlin situation here, dude. Like, DeMar Hamlin died on a football field and came back. Comeback player of the year, right?
Yep.
Okay, before we get into this, wasn't like the comeback player of the year race like DeMar Hamlin and Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
And it's like Joe Flacco sucked.
Yeah.
Didn't suck. DeMar Hamlin died. Not dead.
Yep. So Kyle Filipowski pretty much returned from death, right? He almost died on the court during that court storm a little over a week ago. Came back and played, I think, 2 days later. But then against Virginia, he just threw it down an emphatic
just a
windmill dunk.
I saw someone tear his ACL, MCL on both legs, slit his Achilles with a knife, and he still was out there dunking.
Yeah.
If I was like skilled in video editing and, deep fakes and graphic design and all that, I would have taken that slowed down footage of him getting bumped in the thing and like, where those videos where like they're like, oh, this is like a kung fu video where they're like slow it down and they're like moving all crazy. It's like have someone like Achilles cut, doing all this stuff. Like, that's what I would have done to make it look like he was just murdered. Yeah.
Yep.
He was dead. I mean, basically.
Yeah. That's what the news cycles would
yeah. I mean, it was like a funeral the next day. I mean, Jay Billis was literally saying that people should go to jail for court storming, which, I mean, technically is fair. I guess it is trespassing. I guess. Not even.
I have opinions, but
I mean, like, on paper, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's not trespassing because you bought a ticket to there, but like,
I mean,
it's, I mean, I guess if they just put a rule, like, if you step on the court, you will go to jail. I mean, I guess that upholds.
I tweeted about it Monday night when Mississippi Valley State won. Court storming is a sacred act,
of course,
to college basketball.
But I mean, like, technically he could be right. It's stupid.
Yeah,
but he could be right.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
if
also,
you make that rule,
there's my thing, and I don't want to talk too much about court storming because it's been
in the news cycle for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been overplayed a little bit at this point, but it's my take is that these students, while not on the team, to me have every stake in it. They pay to go to the university.
Mm-hmm.
They pay to go to the games. They are buying into the team that they're going to see. So they're every part of the team as the players, just in a much different capacity.
I mean, that buy-in is what makes college basketball so much better than the NBA.
Yep. And people say, well, there's no court storming in the NBA. It's because fans, they're invested in their team and they pay to go to a game, but it's a little bit different when you're paid to go to the university and you support the team versus
you live and breathe that university for 4 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But
it's just different.
Yeah. And then moving on to Sunday, the only kind of notable game, not super notable because it was a blowout, but UConn beat Seton Hall by 30.
Get him out.
To 61. Seton Hall
sent him out of the tournament.
Very much in conversation to be a bubble team, a potential bid stealer, and I think UConn nailed their coffin shut.
This actually proves that UConn, like, people have been talking about, like, is UConn better than Purdue? And, like, this definitively proves that Purdue is not better than UConn. Right?
I'm
UConn beat Seton Hall,
mm-hmm.
who's coached by Shaheen Holloway, who coached St. Peter's. St. Peter's beat Purdue 2 years ago.
Okay.
When they had Travion Williams.
Okay.
Rosters are different, teams are different. I'm just kidding because we're an Indiana show, right? So how can I spin this? How can I get UConn is not as good as Purdue? Purdue beat Marquette. Marquette beat UConn. Done. Right? That's it?
Yeah.
Did Marquette beat UConn or is that Creighton? I got this.
Wait, no, I got the tweets right here that could help us out. Butler beat Marquette beat Kansas. I don't have anything in it to UConn.
Anyway, let's
talk about our games to be aware of. So, while Adam looks that up, Monday night game to watch out for. If you can't, there's no games that really strike your interest to watch.
Wait, Purdue beat Iowa. Iowa beat Seton Hall. Seton Hall beat UConn.
But UConn just beat
Sorry,
Seton Hall.
This is last year. Why is it default to last year? This is embarrassing, guys. No, this is 23. Purdue beat Iowa. Iowa beat Seton Hall in November, and Seton Hall beat UConn by 15 in November. I forgot about that. But then they just beat Seton Hall by 30. What a weird year. That's a 45-point swing. We didn't talk about that more. That is a 45-point swing, dude. Is that how much playing in stores is worth?
I guess
45 points.
UConn's also playing much better now than they were back then. Or no?
There was dude, Big East is weird. You just take weird losses.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just talks about the state of college basketball is winning on the road is impossible.
Yeah, there's no 76 Hoosiers in here. There's no whatever year 2012 Kentucky.
Yeah, or even Baylor in
2019
where they were 26-1.
Or in Gonzaga same year. Mark Few, definitely a top 10 coach.
I'd say so.
At least.
I'd say so. There are people out there who don't think that.
If he's not like top 25, like, what are you doing? Do you even know?
That's not no ball.
But anyway, back to what you were saying.
Yeah. Monday night, our game of the day. We've got Texas at 15, Baylor at 9 p.m. Texas just got a big win at Tech. Texas Tech specifically. They could be clicking. Baylor, high-powered offense. Baylor could be in trouble. Who knows? Check it out Monday night, 9 p.m.
Yeah. Tuesday, our game of the day is Kansas State at Kansas. I mean, it's a rivalry. It's at 9 p.m., so it's, late night. Students are going to be rowdy at Kansas. McCullough's going to be out. Will their struggles continue, and will they drop this game to Kansas State, which they shouldn't lose? But like,
as long as they don't go to overtime.
Yeah, if they just forfeit if you go to overtime. I mean, first time he's had 7 conference losses. You could make it 8. You could make it more historic. So that's a lot of fuel. So that's a good game on Tuesday.
Wednesday, going back to, well, not back to UConn because we're technically at Marquette, but talking about UConn again. They play Marquette 8:30 on Wednesday. UConn, will they win on the road? We just talked about. That's, who knows? Who knows? We saw them go into Omaha and lose to Creighton. So, they lost at Seton Hall, but then won against Seton Hall at home.
Yeah,
so
and
who knows?
And I mean, if we've learned anything, it's that UConn destroyed Marquette by like 30 last time they played at UConn. So like, if Marquette wins this by like 15, I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
Depends on,
because look at what they just did with Seton Hall this year.
But let's also, I'm not sure if Kolek and Iguodala will be back. I don't know.
I hope so.
What they didn't play.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they were out,
but not sure why they didn't play against Creighton. But we'll see.
Thursday we got Washington at Washington State at 9 p.m. It's a rivalry game. I don't know. It's a rivalry game. Washington State's pretty good. They'll make the tournament. Washington, not so much, but watch this. Watch some conference tournament games. I don't know. This is the best thing I could find.
Yep. And then Friday, we've got Boise State at San Diego State, 20-ranked San Diego State at 10 p.m. So a little bit of a late night West Coast game, but Boise State's currently tied for first, and San Diego State is tied for second in the Mountain West. Another example of a team not in first in their division, but ranked 25. We talked about Dayton. Yeah. Now, and here is San Diego State. So
weird
stuff, but
that's how ball is done. Saturday, our game of the day is an iconic game. North Carolina, number 9. At number 10, Duke at 6:30 p.m. I mean, it's always a must-watch game. They're playing in Cameron Indoor, so it should be a lot of fun. Duke is in second. They're behind North Carolina in the ACC standings by 1, so they could tie and make things interesting here. But Notre Dame does have to go through. North Carolina does have to go through Notre Dame first, so we'll see what happens.
And then Sunday, that is our conference tournament game of the week. I mean, most of the slates aren't set because,
it's like the second round for a lot of things.
Or third round, yeah. So those games might not be set, but it is champ week, right? So a lot of conference where we will know by the end of next Sunday who some of these guaranteed
there's like one
auto bids are.
There's like 2 or 3 conferences that are done, I think now, who have played their tournaments. Yep. But like you will know multiple tournament teams.
Yep.
By this time next week, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk through some of that.
Yeah, and next week we'll be talking about how champ week is coming up full force, and that's the most basketball you'll see. I'm excited.
Me too. I'm also excited for our guess the game of the week.
You first, me?
You first.
Is me first this time?
You first, yep.
Okay. My guess the game of the week is what I call... My guess the game of the week is the High School Musical game, Jaron. I have Troy Bolton visits Gabriela Montez at college. Let's test your High School Musical knowledge.
Oh my goodness. Well, Troy went to Utah?
No. Come on, dude. He was going to go to University of Albuquerque.
Dude, it's been probably 20
He
years.
He was going to go to U of A, which is not a D1 school. But then he goes to this D1 school, which seems absurd to me.
New Mexico?
Nope.
Mexico State?
Nope. They're in this. These schools are in the same state. You don't know where Gabriella went to school, dude? She's a smarty.
Did she go to like Princeton?
No, West Coast.
Stanford?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Stanford and I was just saw who did Stanford. Cal at Stanford.
UC Berkeley is where he went. Yes, Cal at Stanford, because he said he was going to go to University of Albuquerque, which is like an NAIA school or something, and he was like, I'm actually going to play basketball and do theater at University of California, Berkeley. Like, people just choose Berkeley as their backup school
Casually.
Yeah, like, yeah, you know, that was my backup school too.
Yeah.
Berkeley. I just chose to go to Trine. I was like, Berkeley was like full ride. I was like, I don't want to go to California. That sounds lame. But yes, guess the game this week, the High School Musical game, is Cal at Stanford at 11 p.m. on Thursday, March 7th.
All right. My guess the game of the week is the Protect Your Booty game. Protect Your Booty.
Eastern Carolina?
It is Eastern Carolina. It's East Carolina, but yes.
Am I supposed to know how to guess the other team?
I mean, I think it's both teams are in North Carolina. Give you that.
Western Carolina? Eastern Carolina?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I saw this game. It's like California, North Carolina Central.
What? Nope.
Oh my gosh, am I close?
Not really. Yes. I don't know how to say like. I don't know how North Carolina Central. I don't think is that a school?
Something like that.
You want me to tell you?
No. Anything else?
They're both in the American League, American Conference. Think about mascots. Booty is
East Carolina.
Pirates treasure. Yeah. What color is treasure?
Gold.
Who tries to get gold?
Everybody. Who tries to get gold? Dragons. No, it wouldn't be UAB. That'd be not in there. The Drexel.
They what is the process of acquiring gold?
Mining.
Mm-hmm.
The miners, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be able to.
Another
get
word
this
for
dude.
miner.
Diggers. I don't know. I'm not gonna get this.
The Charlotte 49ers.
Never heard of the Charlotte 49ers. New Charlotte. Did not know they were the 49ers.
Their logo is a C with a pickaxe.
And that tells me 49ers.
Use a pickaxe to mine gold.
So did dwarves and Snow White.
They mined gold.
No, they mined gems, Jaron. When was the last time you saw that?
They mined treasure.
Okay.
Booty. But the Protect Your Booty game, so Charlotte 49ers at East Carolina Pirates. Saturday at 4 p.m.
Saturday. Is that a conference tournament game?
Oh, American's still going.
Good for them. Um,
I thought that was just obscure enough to make you think, but
I've never heard that mascot in my life.
interesting.
Gun to my head, never heard that in my life.
Oh, now you have. You're welcome.
Sure.
Broadening your horizons. I almost picked the Cal Stanford game.
This was 2 weeks ago, but I went to the Y and I was watching some Y ball because my daughter wanted to watch Y ball because she likes watching basketball because she's a child of culture, obviously. And one of my former students, because I was a teacher, one of my former students was playing, and it was kind of funny because like he's a big guy. He's a pretty big guy, tall, weight wise. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And his parents were sitting close to me, and they were yelling at him to get down in the post. Get down in the post. He did not. He did not get down in the post.
Okay.
He was out there sitting at the perimeter, just jacking up threes, and he hit one. He bricked a lot, but it was apparently the championship game of this 8th grade Y ball league.
Okay.
And so they won by like 30.
The other shooting threes instead of getting down in the post.
Well, the other team, the other team that they played against was just giving the ball to one dude, and he was just jacking up threes. And I like started watching the game, and then I was like, hold up a second. The team that won, Jaron, 2-3 zone.
No way.
2-3 zone. And my guy that I used to teach, center, right under the basket. No one even got close to him because no one could even, dribble. Like, we haven't talked about this, but Jaron has some thoughts on running a zone in youth basketball.
We talked about it a little bit
when we went to the Southside game.
North Side Southside game earlier this season. There's just a lot of man defense that's played at the high school level.
You're saying they're not offensively skilled enough to beat a zone?
Yeah, like
you saw firsthand. I guess I saw firsthand experience of you being right.
Yeah, at younger age levels, right? Is there value in teaching the zone? Probably not.
Teaching it, yes, but running it like exclusively.
Well, I think that the only way to get a good experience and to get practical situations would be to run it. And I just think that it's to the benefit of players in the sense of if they've at least run a zone once in their life prior to going to college. Where is zone used often? No. But when it's used, it needs to be used effectively.
I just feel like this team always ran zone. Like looking at the pieces that they had.
Good.
They always ran zone.
Look at Syracuse for so many years. Always ran a 2-3 and were pretty dang effective at it.
I guess.
And yeah.
It was just coaching malpractice, man. You can't have some 8th graders out here running a zone.
Why not?
Doesn't teach you. You just want to win this plastic trophy. You don't want to set them up for future. None of these guys were all stars. I'll be honest.
I want to win.
But
and if
it just like I saw it and I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, this dude, Jaron, come on. So that's really
that's a coach of culture.
That's really all I had.
I hate the zone in the sense of like, just because I watch a lot of Indiana basketball and they always lose to the zone because they don't shoot threes well.
Indiana basketball sacrificed every future game against Syracuse to winning in 76, so I guess it's worth it.
True. But still, it's a big fan of the zone. Except when the team
you're an animal.
Except that when the team I'm rooting for has to play against it.
All right, let's get the H out of here, dude.
Yep. Adam alluded to it, but the clock is the one on our wall is not showing quadruple zeros.
Showing
it is broken.
5 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. 7:59.
It is broken. But
if it's not 7:59 where you are, what are you doing?
Exactly. Our game clock is showing quadruple zeros. Time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next week. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.